Reading is input, writing is output. But they're both about ideas. Okay, in one you're receiving ideas, and the other you're producing ideas. But they are integrated because no matter what you are writing, a research paper, a long paper, a short paper, a summary, a report, a reflection paper, or a response paper, they're all about ideas. And writing in particular is about saying what you mean and saying it in a very clear way because it's a one-way communication. The reader is not there to ask you, excuse me, I didn't follow this paragraph. What did you mean by that? That happens in a speech. And you say, excuse me, I beg your pardon, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I didn't get you. You don't have that luxury when you write. And reading is the same way. Reading, whatever you're reading is written by somebody. So that's also, the art of writing is right there. Some author who is expressing his or her ideas, main ideas supported by details and all that. You will also notice that most prolific writers also happen to be compulsive readers. Okay? And it's not a coincidence. There's a reason why. Where do you get ideas from? Not from a vacuum. You have to read. You have to read research papers. You have to read the newspaper. You have to keep yourself informed. So all of these things, give us more reason to integrate these two skills in the classroom when they teach, and for the students to realize that there's a definite link between reading and writing. They don't exist in isolation.
We are, by nature, reactive creatures. We react to stimuli. And, in traditional reading classrooms, you would have often you'd have a reading, you'd have like pre-reading questions to discuss, and then you do the reading, and then after the reading, you might answer some multiple choice questions. But it just seems incomplete. You're not taking any ownership of any of the ideas in the reading. You're just showing that you understood the reading by answering, these comprehension questions. It's a waste of a wonderful opportunity because you've invested a certain amount of time trying to engage the reader in the content, and then you just leave it there with a few, comprehension questions. So why not continue by reacting to the text in a number of different ways, through summary and through response? And so that's what we're seeing more and more, the trend towards summary response writing. And I think that there's no coincidence that most of college writing is summary response writing. Most college writing in the 100 level classes and 200s and beyond really involve summary and response writing. You're taking a psychology class, you'll be asked to read an article or a bunch of articles and to compare them. You'll be asked to give a summary and perhaps to give a response to bring in your own POV. So that's the type of writing that you do across the curriculum. So it's very important that students have this opportunity in developmental classes to hone this skill.
There could be nothing more integrated than writing a summary. I recently served at the university level, was served on a reading council. The university wants to develop a new prototype of a reading test, multiple choice. We talked about summary writing, which is summative assessment. That's, its performance is observable, it's there in writing on paper, and you can see if the student got the main idea, supporting details, major details or not. I was shocked by some of the responses, a reaction I got from these reading experts. And they're saying, but isn't that writing? Summary is writing, isn't it? And I said, they are very conveniently overlooking the fact that a summary is such a good test of your reading comprehension. How do you write a summary without understanding the original text? So if you're way off, it's clear that you are a weak reader. You did not comprehend what you read. And so that's even, more power to the students and the faculty to teach them the art of summarization.
And I want to add to that,
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about summary writing because it seems to be the key. It really is the key because that's what they're doing in their college classes. Right. But also to add the response part, because I think a lot of our students feel like, okay, I can summarize what the expert said in the article, but they feel intimidated to bring in their own voice because they are the developmental reader, developmental writer, and the person who wrote the article is the expert. And this is something that we want to dispel this myth that Only the experts
true.
should have a voice on a topic, on a matter. So giving them the chance to summarize, as Professor Warsi said, but also giving them the chance to add their own voice, to reflect, talk about what this person said, what does this remind me of? How can I connect it to something else I've experienced or read? And then they're taking sort of back to the idea of taking ownership of their writing. And that's why it's so important to integrate reading and writing, because you're reacting to someone else's ideas, you're showing you understand someone else's ideas, but you're bringing in your POV. And that works beautiful with an integrative approach.
Yeah, it's more organic. It's very natural. It's not artificial, right? You're not creating something from a vacuum. The reading materials are there. They're reading hands-on, group discussions. You break them up into small groups. They're reading. You give them a set of questions they have to answer. So there's a lot of discussion. And then whatever ideas they get out of those sessions, small sessions, now there's a writing assignment. And there they can relate to it. Well, we talked about it. I learned this and that. They have a list of things, new ideas, and they try to just synthesize and put it together and try to give it their own voice. So it's a no-brainer.
A writing assignment also serves as a motivator for doing a deeper reading. Because when a student knows that they're going to have to compare two readings in a writing assignment that's coming up in the same week or the next week, there's another motivator to pay attention to the ideas in the reading, as what we call active reading. I don't think having a set of 8 or 10 multiple choice questions always serves as a motivator, whereas writing usually does.
We're using an autobiography of a woman, a Cambodian woman, who was it's very tragic, sad, and very intense, because she was sold into prostitution at the age of 6, and now she's an international celebrity. She has a foundation, a nonprofit organization, somalimom.org, and she helps young girls in Cambodia to start a new life. She has her own center. She goes and rescues them from the brothels, and then she teaches them life skills, such as sewing or making a quilt. She's been to the U.S. also. So we're reading the autobiography. I put together a study guide. This is another defining moment, if you will, for me as a teacher. I give them a short writing assignment in which they have to write a response paper. Okay, and I want to hear their voice, their independent thoughts, like, okay, what did you think, or how do you feel about this? Can you relate to these experiences? And what I end up getting from them, because they're weak writers, of course, is a summary of the chapter. Somali mom this, Somali mom that. So I said, you know what, we need to talk about this. So I addressed the whole class, and it was very interesting, because, even though you had given clear instructions, you think they would have their voice. And they said, well, we just thought you wanted to respond. I said, yeah, but when I say a response paper, I'm not asking for a summary. And why are you telling me something that I already know? I have read this autobiography. I put together the study guide. I'm interested in your voice. And something has to be said about that from a psychological perspective. Students, by doing that, so now they have made that, leap. Rather than just summarizing or reading and regurgitating, they know that a reflection has to be original, it has to be their thought. They may relate to some of the issues or themes in the autobiography, but they have to find their own voice, and that helps them improve their writing skill. So I'm getting those papers, and it has been great since then.